It begins with the uncomfortable truth that every thought you've ever had has changed your brain. Not symbolically, not poetically, chemically. Each flash of irritation, every awkward teenage crush, every moment you swore you'd never think about again, all of it left microscopic fingerprints in the folds of your neurons, which is both awe-inspiring and slightly horrifying when you realize the mess your brain's been making of itself. For years, scientists told a tidy story. Memory was all about synapses. Neurons talked to one another, and if they got along well, their connections strengthened. If they didn't, the connection faded away like an X's number you should have deleted years ago. Elegant, mechanical, predictable. Except the brain refused to behave like a tidy machine. It acted more like a living, moody organism, constantly rewriting its own rules. That's where epigenetics crashed the party. Not the kind of genetics you inherit from your parents, but the temporary kind your neurons scribble in the margins of your DNA while they're figuring things out. They don't change the letters, just the punctuation. A methyl group here, a histone tweak there, tiny edits that decide which genes get to speak and which have to sit quietly in the corner. When you learn something new, like how to pronounce epigenetics, your neurons don't just fire off in excitement. They dive into their own nuclei, pulling on strands of DNA and whispering, "We're going to need a few new proteins for this." Calcium floods in, CREB shows up like a biochemical foreman, and before you know it, a construction crew of enzymes is modifying chromatin so the cell can build new synapses. It's not magic, it's maintenance. The neuron is just tidying up after your curiosity. But here's the kicker. Those molecular changes don't last forever. They're more like sticky notes than tattoos. Within hours or days, many of them fade. The neuron resets its genome ready for the next surge of caffeine and questionable life decisions. Your memories remain, not because they're written into DNA, but because your brain has built a network sturdy enough to hold them without the training wheels. Epigenetics doesn't store the song, it tunes the instrument. And that's good news, because if every thought left a permanent mark, your genome would look like a bathroom wall after finals week. Instead, it's flexible, self-correcting, constantly rewriting itself in real time. This is how you can change your habits, recover from stress, or forget that embarrassing thing you said in 2009, the biology of redemption, right there in your neurons. Some researchers like to stretch this into a grand cosmic metaphor, claiming consciousness itself might be encoded in DNA. That's where the science politely raises an eyebrow. There's no evidence that your awareness is written in methyl groups. Consciousness isn't some secret genetic script. It's what happens when electricity, chemistry, and biology hold a perfectly timed jam session. The miracle isn't that the brain writes its memories into DNA. It's that it can improvise, forget the sheet music, and still keep playing. Every neuron is a tiny, self-tuning musician, balancing between chaos and structure. When you're learning, those electrical bursts trigger small chemical edits that let the system adapt. And when you rest, the same machinery prunes the noise away. The genome isn't a hard drive storing your thoughts. It's a library of potential, handing out the right manuals just long enough for the orchestra to play in key. Even your emotions get in on the act. Stress, joy, heartbreak, they'll tweak the epigenetic dials, shaping how the brain responds next time. But nothing is fixed. The changes are reversible. Therapy, meditation, even a good night's sleep can start to nudge the settings back toward balance. Biology may be complex, but it's not cruel. It gives you second chances. So no, your DNA doesn't remember your life like some ancient scroll of personal trauma. It's more like a backstage technician, constantly adjusting the lights while the show goes on. Consciousness, learning, healing, they're not carved into your genes. They're performed moment by moment through an elegant negotiation between charge and molecule, thought and matter. And maybe that's the real marvel. You are a story your brain keeps rewriting, using chemistry as punctuation. Every day, billions of neurons decide which phrases to keep, which to cross out, and which to underline in bright, phosphorescent ink. Nothing supernatural, nothing mystical. Just a self-editing system trying, quite literally, to make sense of itself. In the end, the brain's not a machine or a mystery. It's a living manuscript. And every time you think, learn, or change your mind, you're adding one more footnote in methyl and light.